the Arabs. A people whom God himself raised to the loftiest heights of honor. A land upon which God sent countless prophets, and from among these Arabs emerged the mercy to all the worlds. Muhammad, peace be upon him. This was the nation that raised the banner of Islam, that stood tall in the face of disbelief, that echoed through the valleys of Mecca, "There is no God but Allah." These were the ones entrusted with the sanctity of the Kaaba, the defenders of Medina, the ones God chose to carry his final message. To stand as a light in the darkness, to guide mankind toward justice, peace, and unity. But today, those same Arabs, once chosen, are locked in golden palaces, bowing not to God, but to Washington. They no longer stand with the oppressed. No, they stand in alliance with the oppressor. The Arabs of today do not hear the cries from Gaza. He does not see the starved corpses in Yemen. He does not weep for Kashmir, nor bleed for the children of Palestine. He hears only the clinking of coins. He sees only the oil fields. And he opens his arms, not to the Ummah, but to Israel. So ask yourself, is this the same nation God honored with prophethood? Is this the land once known as the custodian of the two holy mosques? Or has Islam become a corporation when the Arabs forgot who they were? When they abandoned the Quran for contracts and the Sunnah for shopping malls, God took away from them the service of the Kaaba and gave it to the Turks, the Ottoman Caliphate. A nation that didn't just protect the holy cities, but protected the blood, the dignity, the very soul of the Muslim world. They upheld what the Arabs abandoned. They bore the burden of the Ummah with pride, with sacrifice, with courage. But then, history turned its cruel page. In 1924, the Caliphate was abolished, and just 8 years later, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia was born. Now, Mecca, Medina, Hajj, all came under the control of a new power, the House of Saud, and thus the political leadership of the Islamic world passed from the Ottomans back to the Arabs. But we will not begin our story with the Saudi kings dancing in palaces, nor with the skyscrapers rising around the Kaaba. This story truly began in 1975, the year King Faisal was murdered. Because King Faisal, he was not just a king. He was an idea, a symbol, a hope for the entire Ummah. And that hope was assassinated. Faisal did not see Islam as a brand. He saw it as a duty. He was one of the few Arab rulers who refused to kneel before America. He did not shake hands with injustice. He stood for Palestine. He stood for Jerusalem. And he stood for truth. In 1973, when Israel invaded Arab lands, Faisal didn't just condemn, he acted. He cut off oil to America and the West, and the world trembled. Gas prices soared. economy shook for the first time. Muslim leader made the West feel powerless, not through war, but with a single, bold decision. Faisal used Saudi wealth not for royal yachts, but to build schools, hospitals, mosques. Across the Muslim world, he funded dawah, supported Islamic banking, and dreamed of a united Ummah. He wore simple clothes, ate simple food, sat with the poor. He was a king who walked among the people and bowed only before God. O the world, don't forgive those who speak the truth. On March 25, 1975, King Faisal was assassinated, shot by his nephew during an official meeting. Some say it was personal, but others say it was revenge. Revenge from those who couldn't silence him any other way. That the voice of the Ummah was silenced. Thob was murdered, and in his place came King Khalid. A man of soft heart, but not of leadership. He stayed silent as Jerusalem burned. He watched as the Ummah bled. Historians call his reign the silent era. No action for Gaza. No protest for Kashmir. Only handshakes with Washington. Only deals with the West. Internally, yes. Schools were built. Hospitals improved. But what about the Muslim world? Where was the sword of Islam? Where was the unity of the believers? Nowhere. King Ali passed in 1982. And in his place came a new face. King Fahd, the man behind the curtains for years, now held the throne, and with him came a new title, custodian of the two holy mosques. They're older, but behind that title lay deals, wealth, and silence. Under King Fahd, Mecca and Medina became construction zones. Plazas, malls, luxury towers, the holiest sites of Islam, wrapped in marble and commerce. When Iraq invaded Kuwait, King Fahd did something that shattered Islamic pride. He allowed US troops to set foot on Saudi soil. For the first time since the Crusades, non-Muslim armies stood in the land of the Prophet, and the Muslim world cried. Is this the custodian or the seller of sanctity? When America invaded Iraq in 2003, King Fahd opposed it in words, but supported it in silence. He hosted conferences, printed Qurans, built Islamic institutes. But when bombs fell on Baghdad, there was no Quran in sight. Faith was honored in speeches, but forgotten in action. Fahd lived in gold palaces and villas in France and spent billions while Gaza starved. He ruled not with justice, but with fear. Journalists, thinkers, Islamists, silenced, imprisoned, erased. He died in 2005, and the throne passed to King Abdullah. The world hoped again. Maybe this time, things would change. King Abdullah was simple, approachable, and known for reforms. He gave women some rights, improved education, invested in infrastructure. But for the Ummah, he was nothing. When Gaz bled in 2006, 2008, and 2010, he issued statements. Nothing more. when Israeli forces attacked the Freedom Flotilla. Silence. When drones fell in Afghanistan, when Muslims died in Burma, when Modi's army trampled Kashmir, there was only one Saudi policy. We care for our security. He remained close to Bush. He smiled at Obama, and when the West's economy crashed, he gave them billions. While Muslim orphans starved, he never revived the OI, never called for unity, never led the Ummah. He passed in 2015, and in his place came a name that would rewrite Saudi Arabia's image forever. Mohammed bin Salman. Young, charismatic, old, and dangerous. He speaks of the future, of modernity, of progress, but his progress is built on nightclubs in Jeddah, music festivals near the Haram, beach resorts in Neom, with no hijab, no prayer, no soul. He calls this Vision 2030, but the Ummah calls it deviation. He builds ties with Israel, buys weapons from Trump, hugs Modi, befriends Jared Kushner. He rewards murderers, kills journalists, bombs Yemen, starves children. He says, this is a war against Iran. The Ummah replies, no, this is a war against Islam. He mocks the Baal, mobs Islamic scholars, mocks our past. He says, I will return Islam to what it was before 1979. But the Ummah asks, do you mean before it was Islam? The Islamic military alliance he formed fights only one sect, not for Palestine, not for Kashmir, not for Rohingya, only for America. He calls himself the king of the future, but in doing so, he's burying the past, burying the Ummah's pride, burying our hope. Since King Faisal, no true leader came, only throne setters, only servants of Washington. And now, as Mecca stands unchanged, as Medina shines under floodlights, as the Quran remains untouched, one thing is clear, the custodian has changed.